coming. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming so early this morning. And thanks also for TSYP. I'm very honored to be speaking today on behalf of our late teacher, Mr. Desikachar, and his birthday, and to celebrate the midsummer sunrise. I'm going to start with opening prayers or homages to Mr. Desikachar and his father, and then I'm going to chant Gayatri mantra, which was one of Mr. Desikachar's favorites and something that he was able to do almost towards the end of his life. Chant Gayatri. Shri Krishna Vagishayatishvarabhyam Samprapta Chakrankranabhashasaram Shri Nutnarangendra Yata Samarpitasvam Shri Krishna Marianguru Varyam Ide Virodhe Kartike Mase Shatatara Kritodayam Yogacharyam Krishna Maryam Guru Varyamaham Bhaje Krishna Suridaya Patram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanataryam Vandeham Yogadeshikam Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Om Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayata Om Tatsavituhu Saviturvarenyam Bhargaha Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhimahi Ti Dhimahi Dhiyo Yaha Yonaha Nah Prachodayata Prachodayaditi Prachodayata. So that was the Krama form. I'm just going to do the Jata. You're very welcome to join in at home or simply to listen and let these sacred sounds wash over you. Om Tat Savitus Tat Savituhu Savitur Varenyam Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Varenyam Bhargaha Bhargo Devasya Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Devasya Dhimahi Ti Dhimahi Tiho Yaha Yo Naha Nah Prachodaya no Nah Prachodayata Prachodayaditi Prachodayata. So, asana for body only. These some words are taken from a talk given by Mr. Desikachar when he visited us here in the UK around Easter 1992. Mr. Desikachar told us that when he first taught people to focus on their breath in asana, he met with quite some resistance. People even said it was dangerous, or they'd been told it was dangerous to interfere with the breath while practicing asana. And they asked Mr. Desikachar what was his authority for teaching them to use their breath in different ways in asana, since they've been told that asana was for the body only. Rather than simply state the authority of his father, Mr. Desikachar pointed out to them that without involving the breath, it was possible to practice asana without much involvement of the trunk, the body. And to show them that breath was for the body, the example he gave was when he got married. Desikachar's new wife, Menaka, within 15 days, she could demonstrate any of the asanas because her hips and shoulders were very supple. However, they noticed she had very little movement in her trunk. To help Menaka bring some movement, some action into the trunk of her body, Mr. Desikachar and his father had to teach her some conscious breathing, which is what I'm going to be leading you in a few minutes. They had to teach Menaka how to breathe appropriately for each asana. And I suppose that may be what was missing from the teaching those people who questioned him had been given. If I may add my own thoughts to this, if we don't focus on the breath that will help and respect the movement and the shape of the trunk of the body, we will lose at least two opportunities. Firstly, to maintain movement and flexibility in the trunk by recruiting the breath. And secondly, to maintain the depth of the breath by having a more flexible trunk, to have more give in the trunk of the body to allow the breath to come in. Celeste, I'm seeing you on screen and not myself. You're seeing me, are you? Thank you. This morning, I'm going to take you through a practice, which I've largely borrowed from Mrs. Gita Shankar, who presented it at the KYM at 7 a.m. on the 24th of October, 2005. Her focus was on conscious breath on the axis of the body, and on beginning to relate to our chakras. Now, this relationship with the chakras was further expanded on the talk we had after breakfast that day by Saraswati, another of Mr. Desikachar's students, who was working at the KYM at that time. Saraswati said that one of the purposes of asana was to align the chakras, and chakras are something we experience as anterior to the spine, and therefore the spacing between the chakras is affected by our spinal curves. Well, why do we want to align our chakras? Because in that way we optimize the flow of prana within the body. So what we'll be doing in a moment is practicing some standing and lying asana, and then some seated work or continuing some breath and simple movement. Before each of the asana, we will spend a few breaths in some form of samasthiti, of just still, steady attention, either standing or lying, in order to contact the breath, pay our respects to the breath. If you need chair options instead of lying on your mat for yourself today, this morning, please put a note in the text. Okay. One thing that I will add is that there are moments when I will invite you to invite the red light of the rising sun coming into your heart as you inhale. So I'm now going to step a bit away from this camera so I can demonstrate things we're going to be doing. And you can see me, which is important. So one thing I do these days is to invite people to think about the breath coming in forward of the heart, which is explained further in my book, Breath for Health. But for today, this is what Mr. Desikachar called a bhavana. We focus our attention, we imagine things, we imagine the breath coming in down the inside of the breastbone, forward of the heart, and we keep thinking about that until we feel that it starts to actually happen. So just stay here in the attentive standing position, making this invitation for about 6 breaths. Just feeling my breath coming in forward of my heart and just imagining for a moment the red light of the rising sun. And now I'm going to invite you to imagine that you're reaching up towards the light, okay? And then with your hands in prayer position, and then as you breathe out, thinking about bringing that light down into your heart 6 times. So breathing in forward of your heart and then deeper in. And breathing out, return. And again. And then return for a few breaths to simple attentive standing, imagining the breath coming in forward of your heart and bringing in the red light of the rising sun. Now I'm going to invite you to take warrior position. So starting with my feet together, turn the toes of one foot out about 30 degrees, Mr. Desikachar said. Step forward with the other foot. So I've got 1 foot each side of this center line, the axis of the body. Then I'm going to simply From here, raise my hands comfortably, breathing in. Ease my front knee forward. And breathing out, return. I'm going to introduce another, as the Desikachar's important ideas, breath longer than movement. Okay, so start my breath before I move. Breath is flowing throughout the movement. Breath continues for a moment after the body has come to rest. Same, both breathing in and breathing out. If you haven't done this before, first focus on doing this as you breathe out. Long out breath is easier. First time of 6. Relax shoulders. And you can begin to imagine that red light of the rising sun. That healing red light of the rising sun. And even between sides, to just take a few breaths, asking for breath to come in forward of your heart. So this is the way to breathe safely into the upper body by asking your breath to open forwards. The second side, other foot out 30 degrees, step directly forwards. The other foot, 1 foot each side at the center line, through your body. Hands over the heart. Again, breathing in, ease your knee forwards. Start to breathe out, relax your shoulders. Continue your out breath, easing your knee back. In. Continue, breath longer than movement. Twice more. And come back to attentive standing. Focus on your breath. Coming in forward of your heart. And being eased out by your tummy going back towards your spine. When we face the rising sun. This is the eastern part of the body. And the back of the body is the west. Okay, so going to work on the back of the body in a moment. Harkyogapradipika says that when we breathe out, we must take the abdominal area in a westward direction, which means back towards the spine. This is what starts your breath on its journey out of your body, up through your body and out. Okay. And also, if we're going to take forward bending asana, this westward movement here is going to start your forward bend naturally. Okay. So you're going to see me now demonstrate a flank forward bend, Parshvottanasana. Okay. Same stance as for warrior. Make it easy this time in the morning. I'm going to place one hand in my lower back. If your hand doesn't work like that, I suppose you can even put your hand in your pocket or just rest it by your side, okay? So, breathing in, I raise my free arm. I start to breathe out, and I take a very easy forward bend the first time. Very easy. Tentative. Breathe in, lift your hand first. Let that lead you up. Breathe out, tummy in. Maybe bend forward a little bit more the second time. Relax neck and shoulders. Start to breathe in. Start to breathe out. Third time. Perhaps a little bit more of a forward bend if comfortable. And fourth time, gradually bringing movement into the trunk of the body. Aided by your out breath. Once more. Breathing out, slowly roll your arm to your side. Step your feet together. Return to this bhavana of the rising sun being reflected in your heart. This red healing light. Reflected by your breath coming in forward of your heart. So now, practice asana on the other side. Same principles. 1 foot each side of center line through your body. Other hand rests in my low back. Start to breathe in, arm comes up. Start to breathe out, tummy goes in. Easy, easy, easy. First time. Start to breathe out. And then four more times, keeping your weight balanced between your big toes. Tummy going in to start your forward movement each time. Feeling the in-breath in your heart before you start to move. And then return to imagining the red light. Soft red light. And then finish the standing asana. Just take a very easy forward bend. Either raising and lowering arms by the front, or if it's easier for you this morning, you want to bring some movement into your shoulders as you breathe out. Sweep your hands onto your low back. So 5 more times with me. Tummy goes in, starts the forward movement. Inhale to the heart, lifting the hands first. Twice more. So, and then return to this idea of the light of the rising sun being in your heart. Celeste, does anyone put anything in the chat about wanting chair modifications? I see nothing. Okay. So now I'd like you to take a relaxed lying position. If it's comfortable for your low back, to just lie stretched out straight. In this way. Just focus on the flow of your breath. Feel your breath moving on the axis of your body. And Mr. Desikachar taught us that breathing in favors opening the front of the body, and breathing out favors closing the front of the body. So that's one of the first basic ideas as to breathing appropriately, having the appropriate focus for the movement that you want to experience. So if you could draw your feet comfortably close to your body. I teach this with feet about hip width apart, hands stretching down towards the feet. Breathing in, let your body guide a smooth lift as you put your weight into your feet and feel your hips and low back come off your mat. Start to breathe out, feel your tummy drop, and then lower smoothly, breathing out. Start to breathe in, and start to breathe out. Breath longer than movement. 3 more times. And then place your hands over your heart. And ask to feel your breath coming into that space above your heart. Imagining the red light of the rising sun. So now, in the same lying position, inviting you to take your arms out to your sides. And if it's comfortable for you, your feet together, allow your knees to fall apart. Just simply fall apart. It's a version of an easy line twist introduced by Dr. Lata Satish. So breathing in with your knees apart, start to breathe out, and then take one knee over to the other side and look away from those two knees. Breathe in, knees come apart, knee goes back to its own side, start to breathe out. Start to breathe in. And continue in this way. Now, when you're working in line twists like this, it's important, breath longer than movement, to imagine your breath coming into the side of your body, which is away from your knees. Okay. Each time you do that, it just opens your side ribs slightly more and is helping you to gradually develop or to maintain what I mentioned, which is this give in the body, particularly around the mid-level, the lower ribs. So continue in this version of the line twist, asking before you start to move, with your knees over to one side, feel the start of your in-breath in those ribs. And then when you've worked equally to the two sides, you felt that breath in one side of the body and other side of the body coming in, then complete. As you breathe out, bring your knees together and place your hands over your heart and return to this visualization of the red light of the rising sun coming into that space above your heart. And then when you next breathe in, lift your feet up off the mat and touch your hands to your knees. And then as you breathe out, bring your knees in closer to your body, feet and lower legs relaxed. And so what we can do in this situation, hands on the knees, breathing in and starting to breathe out. So working a few more times, breath longer than movement. So the very easy position to practice this key idea of Mr. Desikachar's breath longer than movement, which keeps our attention in the practice. Breath longer than movement It's not something you can do automatically. You need to stay with it. And also, it gives you a moment to remember. Start your in-breath somewhere around your heart. Start your out-breath low down in the body. So, if it's comfortable now for you to sit up, either as I am on a cushion or on a chair, sitting on the chair, aim to sit upright without any support, though. See, if you need the support for your back, then you must use it. But we only use these supports for as long as we need them. So I'm going to ask you 6 times to follow me in this practice, which I developed while I was teaching online breathing classes 5 years ago, the start of the pandemic, but which turned out to be very important physiologically. So once again, start with your hands over your heart, and you use just the first half of your inhalation to open that space forward of your heart. Then on a pause, the still point halfway through breathing in, you lift your hands comfortably and with your arms raised, breathe in the rest of the way, as deep as your breath wants to go. And then lowering your hands to your heart as you breathe out slowly. So in half, and continuing in your own time, in what's comfortable with your own breath. 4 more times. Then turning to very soft breathing, just imagining that red light, healing red light, entering the space forward of your heart. And breath seeming to come in down the inside of your breastbone. And your tummy moving in a westward direction to gently start your breath out. So now going to continue with Mr. Desikachar's what he called caring breath. So as I breathe in, one hand is going out to its own side. The other hand is still focused on the breath coming in forward of the heart and then further in and down. Look to the side, start to breathe out. Bring your hand back. Breathing in, other side. Continue. I'm going to invite you to continue this with me. Another 8 more breaths in time with your own breath. What is comfortable for you and your breath, working with respect. Making one final pair of movements. And again, breathe freely. Just rest your hands down. When you're ready, just let your breath be completely free. Not setting any requirements for the breath at all, just observe. Breath just doing whatever it wants to do. So, for a little bit of pranayama this morning, I'm going to invite you, unless you're feeling cold, which is to join me in some Shitali or Siddhkari, whichever suits you. I'll explain in a moment, but with palming the eyes. It's a gesture towards Shanmukhi Mudra. So, Shitali, you need to be able to roll your tongue into a tube and breathe in through that rolled tongue. If that doesn't work, you have to sort of grin and have your tongue like a soft cushion in the floor of your mouth so that you feel the air as it comes in being drawn over the sides of the tongue. this cooling fashion. So that's the in breath. After the breathing in, you pause with your breath in. So everything is kept lifted. You don't close anything. It's as if you want to continue to breathe in, but there's no more space. And as you do so, you cup the palms of your hands, place them over your eyes, fingers over your forehead, and then you breathe out with your eyes covered. Okay. So, with me, if you wish, 12 breaths. So as you breathe out, perhaps another 6 or 8 more times, I have a visualization for you. Just to go now from visualizing light to visualizing darkness. Something dark or black you feel comfortable with while you have your eyes covered, and relax your eyes into that imagined darkness. Now continuing to breathe in, cooling breath through or over your tongue. And after completing this breath of Shitali or Sikari pranayama with palming the eyes, just again return to this idea of the red light of the rising sun coming in and creating space forward of your heart. And then, if you wish, you can stretch out in the comfortable lying position for a few minutes. Celeste, I'm going to open up the meeting for a few minutes if just to see if there are any questions. So if you have a question, please feel free to sit up and unmute. Steph, you have a question, but you're not, you're muted. See if I can unmute you. I'm sure I can.
Is that better?
So,
Is that better?
yes, I can. Yes, we can hear you now.
I've something I've just thought of after all these years with Shitali breath. When you finished your rolling of the tongue, if in normal, if you just use it normally, where does the tongue go after you when you? Where's is it? You just relax it.
You need to moisten your tongue while you're breathing out.
Right.
That has to take priority.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think conventionally you can turn the tip of your tongue back to the roof of your mouth.
That's what I'm sure I have done that sometime in the past, but I can't quite remember where and what context. I was just, yeah. So thank you.
I just didn't want to give everyone too many instructions.
No, it just suddenly came to my mind, and I just thought, oh, I'm going to be thinking about this now for the rest of the day, so I'll get it out the way.
Okay. Thank you, Steph. Anyone else? Well, in which case I'll just wind things up, if I may, Celeste, by just repeating the homage to our teacher, Mr. Desikachar. Krishna Suridaya Patram Jnana Vairagya Bhusharam Srimad Venkatanathariam Vandeham Yogadeshikam Shri Gurave Namaha. Thanks again, everyone, for joining this morning. Have a lovely long day.
Dear Mike, I just want to thank you so much for offering us your time and for this beautiful practice this morning and for sharing some of your experience with working with Sir. And happy International Yoga Day to everybody.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Celeste.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best, everyone.
Thank
Keep
you,
well.
Michael.
Thank you.